It's Tuesday, and you all know what that means. As you know already, NXT had their go home show before this weekend for NXT Heatwave. Now, as you know, battle lines are continuing to draw. We have, of course, the TNA Knockouts World title be defended in a three-way, but however, the Elegance Brand will take on, of course, the Fatal Influence, but there's a little slight wrinkle. We have Masha Slamovich as the special guest referee. Then we have, of course, a number one contendership for the NXT Championship. Who will face Obafemi? Will it be the, of course, young OG, Javon Evans, or will it be the current TNA World Champion, Trick Williams? Well, we'll just have to find out. But first things first, we're going to be reviewing, of course, Stardom. As you know, they're entering the final stages of the 5-star Grand Prix, similar to what we witnessed in the G1. So we'll see how we're going to progress from there. So we're going to focus on day 10 and day 11. And then finally, of course, as always, we'll cap up our episode as usual with some news updates to give you guys updates on what's been happening in the world of wrestling, such as what events the promotions are thrown out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK. Anywhere in the world pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information was unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-timing news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of pro wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us or click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or nice comments in the description down below. Now, enough with the jibber jabbers. Let's get started. So, as I mentioned earlier, we are now entering almost to the final stages of the 5-star Grand Prix. But before we get to that, as you know, we have day 10 and day 11. So let's focus on day 10 of the 5-star Grand Prix by Stardom. Stardom, day 10 of the 5-star Grand Prix. This took place on the 16th of August at the Yokohama Budokan. Now keep in mind, we're not there yet. We're almost getting closer. Now, let's start, of course, with their first match, part of the Red Stars B block. We have Rian and Natsupoi. Now, so far, Rian, we haven't seen her yet pick up a win whatsoever throughout the entirety of the tournament. So basically, she was at the bottom of the pile. But Natsupoi, I have to say, she has succeeded very well as much as possible. I think many people would have assumed she could win in hopes that maybe she can make Tam Nakano proud. But she was able to pick up the win when she applied a somewhat of a spinning kick onto Rian. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. She gets her next 2 points with the total of 8. And of course, it ends with Rihanna with just at the bottom at 0. Now, jumping into the Blue Star B block, we have Momokogo versus Hina. Now, it's very interesting to see these two because, A, we all know Hina is the current Future Star champion, so basically that kind of sets it out. But I don't think this applies anymore with Momokogo. I'm going to presume that her 3 year has experience. But however, I think many of us would have assumed Hina would have been the most logical choice to pick up the win here. But surprisingly, Momokogo surprised all of us when she applied the Magistral, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, she picked up a fantastic win against Hina. Now, she may not have succeeded in the tournament, but it must have been a surprising move for her just to get 1 win. She was at the bottom of the pile, but she succeeded so far with this 1 match. Now, jumping into the Blue Star A block, we have Yuria Him versus Sayuri Anu. Now, of course, much like Rian, we saw Yuria Him at the bottom of the pile as well, just like her. But she hasn't picked up the good win. She had some good matches in the entirety of the tournament, but however, she's facing a wrestler who has a bit more of experience than her. But it was Sayuri Anu with a submission move onto her, and of course, Yuria Him had no choice but to tap out. Now, during a bit of a post-match comment or whatever, Sayuri Anu mentioned that she felt that Yuria Him deserves to have 1 win. And I have to say, she gives her a lot of props for her. I think many people were hoping that maybe one day Yuria Him will make her choice to join Cosmic Angels, but highly doubted. We know she made up her choice that she wants to join Stars, but we'll see what happens. But as for the points, Sayuri Anu finished up with the total points of 11, while Yuria Him is still at the bottom of 0. Our next match, part of the Blue Star A block, we have Raka versus Miyu Amasaki. Now, of course, Raka, as a member of Hate, you know she would definitely try to find ways to cheat by using dirty tactics, not to mention using weapons. But however, that did not do any well for her because it was Miyu Amasaki, usually with her usual pinfall maneuver, that allowed her to pick up the win to get her next 2 points with the total of 6, leaving Raka at 7. And of course, Raka being a big baby, she cried about it by attacking her. So basically, you can guess how that turned out. Now, our last match, part of the Blue Star A block, we have, of course, Aya Sakura versus Sai Ida. Now, nothing too special about this match, but of course, you can tell that this is going to be a bit of a striker versus powerhouse in some aspects. I mean, Aya Sakura, we know she can kick hard. She has a background in karate. Saida, 4'11", short, but she's a bit of a powerhouse. Do not let her size fool you. You know there's going to be some interesting combinations, but in the end, it was Saida who walked away with the win when she applied a brainbuster on Sakura, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, Ida gains her next 2 points with a total of 6, leaving Aya Sakura with the total points of 2. Now, our next 2 matches are part of the Red Star A block. First one, we have Azusa Inaba versus Waka Tsukiyama. Now, of course, Azusa Inaba being a member of Hate, and not to mention with a background of karate, that would have been an easy tactic for her. But however, Waka Tsukiyama was able to surprise everybody by, as you know, she was at the bottom of the pile as well with 0 points. But she surprised everybody when she applied the Oshi suplex, and it's the same move that she used on Nana Takahashi back in 2023 that allowed her to have her first official win. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, she finally gets her first 2 points, leaving Azusa Inaba with just 6. Now, jumping in, of course, with the still of the Red Star A block, we have B. Priestley versus Lady C. I don't know what to make of it, but I think many people would have assumed B. Priestley would walk as the winner. But Lady C, we know she has a bit of a strong personality due to being her about 5'8", but it did not stop her because B. Priestley actually applied, of course, the B plan, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. B. Priestley gained 2 more points with a total of 8, leaving Lady C with a total points of 4. Now, jumping in black to the Blue Star B block, we have Konami versus Hanako. Of course, Konami being a striker, You all know that that's exactly what it was going to be. Konami will use her, of course, her martial arts status and not to mention submission techniques in order to find a way to put down someone bigger. Now, if you guys are big fans of Royce Gracie, you all know that many people bet on the big guy who think that they're going to knock out Royce Gracie. Well, it doesn't surprise me that Konami will use that skill against Hanako, even though she's a member of Hate, and that worked in her favor when she applied the chokehold. And just like that, Hanako had no choice but to tap out, leaving Konami with the total points of 6, leaving, of course, Hanako with the total points of 7. Now, still part of the... No, now we jump into the Red Star B block, which the next 2 matches involving. We have Natsuko Tora versus Tomoka Inaba. Now, of course, we all know Natsuko Tora as a member of Hate. She has dirty tactics in order to ensure she wins her matches, not to mention taking her opponents outside the ring to soften them up. But however, Tomoka Inaba being a martial artist or in a submission technique, you know that she'll apply those in certain ways to do so, and that's exactly what she did when she applied a leg lock, and she used the same leg, of course, that Natsuko Tora injured herself not too long ago, and that been part of her game plan, and I have to say she played the smarter one. So Tomoka Inaba won by submission, gaining her next 2 points with the total of 7, leaving Natsuko Tora with the total points of 8. Now our next match, well, these 2 ladies are no strangers from each other, not to mention former members of Oedo Tai. We're talking about Rina and Starlight Kid. As you know, Starlight Kid always had a fondness towards Rina, but of course Rina, being a spoiled little brat, decided to get involved. And of course, Rina made it clear that she's going to be winning the entire tournament one way or another to make a statement. But unfortunately, that statement didn't do any well for her for this particular match, because it ended in a 15-minute time limit draw, giving them both with the total points of 1 each, leaving, of course, Rina with the total points of 8, and Rina with 9, Starlight Kid with 8. So basically, that's how it ends. Now, our next match we have, of course, is the Red Star A block, Mei Sita versus Saya Kamitani. So far, Kamitani has not lost a single match whatsoever, and she was successful in do so, and she defeated, of course, the current high-speed champion when she applied the Star Crusher, giving her with the total points of 12, leaving Mei Sita with the total points of 7. Now, our main event is Suri versus Momo Watanabe. Of course, as you all know, Suri is the heel in Stardom due to the fact that she's the outsider, and of course Momo will do whatever it takes to win. And of course, we saw hate tactics being applied, but it didn't do any well because, of course, Suri was able to success by applying an Uranagi on Momo Watanabe, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over, leaving Suri with the total points of 9, giving Momo Watanabe with the total points of 8. So we'll see how things will roll from there. But as of right now, we're done with day 10. Let's move on with day 11 of the 5-star Grand Prix by Stardom. We continue with Stardom on the, of course, day 11, and this took place on the 17th of August, and it was at the Act City Hamamatsu Exhibition Hall. Now, this is the final stages where the blocks have already been decided. Who is going to be at the top? Now, remember, there's going to be 3 of each. So, whoever walks out as the top 3 at the Blue Star A block, and the same thing with the Blue Star B block, same thing with Red A, Red B. So those will be the challenges. So I'll get to those in a bit, because I'll mention that at the end, because I have that one saved up on my phone in case anybody asks. Now, our first match is part of the Blue Star B block. We have Yuri Him versus Saya Ida. Now, as I mentioned in the last review, we mentioned that Yuri Him has not picked up a win so far, not even throughout the entirety of the tournament. So she was at the bottom of the barrel. But Saya Ida, as you know, has more experience than her. Most likely she was going to pick up the win, and that's exactly what she did when she applied a running lariat. However, as you know, this is Saya Ida finishes off with the total points of 8, so she has not reached the necessary points. But That's how she ends the entire 5-star Grand Prix. But we have Yurihim remaining at 0 at still. However, during the post-match, it seems Saida asked, of course, Yurihim to join Stars. This is something I'm sure that many people might have expected. I mean, personally, I think I'm okay with the idea of her joining Stars. There were those that might have assumed she could be a perfect addition with the Cosmic Angels. Others thought maybe with EXV, but she made the choice. She wants to join Stars, and Saida kind of invited her over. Despite the fact when she teamed with Momo Kogo, it didn't go so well in her favor. But now Saida feels like, I like you, so come on in and join with us. And I have to say, Yurihim couldn't be in a much better spot. Now, jumping into the Red Star B block, we have Rian versus Tomoka Inaba. Now, of course, much like Yurihim, Rian was also at the bottom of the barrel with 0 points. So most likely, we could see that she could not win this match. I mean, unless she does win one match and she ends the tournament like that. But it was Tomoka Inaba who walked away with the win when she applied the one shot, one kick, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. She ends her 5-star Grand Prix with the total points of 8, leaving Rian with the total points of 0. Now, jumping in with the Red Stars A block, we have Lady C versus Waka Tsukiyama. Now, these two ladies are no strangers from each other. If you guys remember, back in 2021, these two ladies were in fact tag team partners before they went to the respected factions back in the day. Of course, Waka Tsukiyama was invited by Tam Nakano to join Cosmic Angels. Lady C at the time was not affiliated with anybody until the start of 2022 and joined Queen's Quest, which of course had worked out in her favor. But of course they have fought off each other in one-on-one matches. Majority of the times it's always been Lady C. But the last time a much bigger of a match for these two occurred was back in 2023. This was right after Waka when she had her biggest win ever against in a tag match, teaming up with Tam, taking on Kairi Sane and Nanane Takahashi. So this time it's no difference. So the real question is who will walk out. We know they have a very strong relationship, knowing the fact that they're now in two different factions. I mean, we know Lady C could pick up the win due to her size, 5'11". She has all the necessary tools to win. Waka, we know she has done the same thing too. But in the end, once again, Waka, just like last time at the Cinderella tournament back in 2023, she picked up the win with the Oshi suplex, and just like that, it was over, leaving, of course, herself to end her tournament with the total points of 4. Same thing with Lady C. Now we jump into the Blue Stars A block. We have Aya Sakura versus Miyu Amasaki. Now, of course, it's no strangers with each other. They have faced off before, but of course, Miyu Amasaki has always come on top of her. But not this time. Somehow, Aya Sakura was able to pick up her next 2 points and pin her with just like that, 1, 2, 3, giving her ending her tournament with the total points of 4, leaving Miyu Amasaki with the total points of 6. Now, our next 3 matches are part of the Blue Star B block. First, we have Momo Kogo versus Suri. Now, of course, it's no secret that Momo Kogo does not have the necessary experience just like Suri. We know she will struggle the entire time, but Suri was able to pick up the win when she applied the Uronagi, and leaving her, of course, with the total points of 11, leaving Momo Kogo at the total points of 2. Next up, we have Hanako versus Hina. Of course, we know Hanako is capable of picking up good wins, not to mention she has all the necessary tools, not to mention the submission technique that she learned from Shinsuke Nakamura, but Hina was able to defeat her by applying a frog splash, leaving her with ending her tournament with the total points of 7, leaving Hanako with the total points of 6. Next up, we have Rane Yagami versus Suzuki, 2 people who know how to throw in some striking capabilities, but in the end, it was Zuzu who walked away with the win when she applied a German suplex, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, Zuzu ends it with the total points of 10, leaving Rane Yagami with the total points of 6. Now, our next match is the Red Star A block. We have Yuna Mizumori versus Hanan, which of course is going to be interesting because we know Yuna Mizumori, we have seen her have wins here and there, but she's facing against someone, as you know, who is highly capable of, reaching the top. But in this case, it did not do any well because Hanan applied the 17 onto Yuna Mizumori, giving her the total points of 9, leaving, of course, Yuna Mizumori with the total points of 4. Now, our next two matches are part of the Red Star B block. Our first one is Sayaka Kurara, who is our this year's Cinderella tournament winner, versus, of course, Azumi, our current New Japan Strong Women's Champion. And of course, many people might have assumed in this capacity that Azumi was going to walk away with the win. No, what surprisingly, Aya Sakura was able to pick up the win with first applying the Tokimi Spear and then, of course, a jackknife. Just like that, she surprised everybody by pinning Azumi, giving her final 2 points with the total points of 4, leaving, of course, Azumi with the total points of 9. Now, our next match, well, these two ladies, as you know, well, they're no strangers from each other. Last time they fought, it was for the white belt, and of course, Natsupoi lost this belt to her, Starlight Kid, of course, and it's a bit of a rematch from that. But however, this is one of those crucial moments where someone has to advance, and that's exactly what it was about. Now, Starlight Kid, I'm not going to deny that many people would love to see her proceed on, but I'm sure that she will definitely get her big moment, as she is still current our white belt champion. And Natsupoi, on the other hand, she picked up the win when she applied the fairy ring, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, she got her next 2 points with the total points of 10, and just like that, it was over for them. Now, our next match is the Blue Star A block. We have Bozilla versus Ami Sori. This is the battle of the Haas. As you probably know, these two ladies are two of the strongest. Bozilla is strong and fast. She's capable of putting down someone, but Ami Sori is the very type person who refuses to give up no matter what. But what surprised me, she was able to defeat Bozilla when she applied the like a thunderbolt, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, she won by gaining her next 2 points with the total points of 10, also leaving Bozilla in 10. However, during the post-match promo, Ami Sori told Bozilla that she is now her rival. And of course, Bozilla, in response, she acknowledges it, knowing that these two will become rivals forever. So that's going to be interesting to see. Now, our main event, this one's a crucial one. These two ladies are no strangers from each other from their past. It's part of the Red Star A block. We have Bea Priestley versus Sayaka Mitani. Now, for those who don't know this, these two ladies know each other too well. During their time from Queen's Quest, if you guys remember, Bea Priestley was part of Queen's Quest until she turned her back on them and joined Oedo Tai. And of course, we know about Sayaka Mitani. Now, of course, Sayaka Mitani hasn't forgotten that one of her matches, she lost to Bea Priestley. And that's exactly what happened. And now Kamitani, as you know, she believes she has the capability of right that wrong and prove that she is far more superior than Bea Priestley, which of course, that's always been the case. But unfortunately, that wasn't what happened. Apparently, Bea Priestley was able to walk away with the win by pinning Kamitani. This became, of course, Kamitani's first initial loss. I'm sure she is not happy with the results, that this is her loss, and that ended that way. And of course, she's telling Bea Priestley, I'm the world champion, and you're not getting this belt one way or the other. I rule this entire place. But we'll see what happens. Now, this is what exactly happened right after, from what I understand, of the entire tournament. As I mentioned, 3 of each of the blocks have been chosen to be part of it. And let me pull it up here. I know I had it. Here it is. Okay. For the Red Stars A, we have at number 1, Sayaka Mitani versus we have Bea Priestley and Hanan. So basically, that's what really happened. And then, of course, we have, for the Red Star B, we have Natsupoi, Azumi, and Rina. And then Blue Star A, we have Sayuri Anu, Ami Sori, and Bozilla. And then after that, for the Blue Stars B, we have Sari, Suzuki, and Momo Watanabe. Now, however, a certain aspect of this has been occurred. Let me pull that up real quick. Because of that, this is what happens. The next event will be, of course, on the 20th of August. So whoever wins between Bozilla and Suzuki will face Sayuri Anu. And the same thing, of course, with Ami Suri will face Momo Watanabe. One of these two ladies will face, of course, Suri. And those matches will happen on the 20th. And then, of course, we looked at the Red Stars. Same thing. Saikami Azumi and Hanan will face each other. Whoever walked out will face, of course, Saya Kamitani. And then finally, of course, we have B Priestley versus Rina. Whoever walked out of that one will face, of course, Natsupoi. So those matches will happen on the 20th. 2 back-to-back matches from that on the same day. And then, of course, whoever walks out will beat each other in the finals on the 23rd of August. So we're getting closer to the end, folks, so buckle up. So until then, we'll just have to wait and see. So right now, we are officially done with Stardom. Let's move on, of course, with NXT. Final review, NXT. Now, we opened up with a very, very interesting way. We ended up starting with the Philadelphia street fight between two former tag partners who became friends and now they're enemies. We're talking about Josh Briggs and Yoshiki Inamura. Now, as you know, all this whole thing happened because Inamura was involved in the NXT title match and Josh Briggs cost it. So you can tell there was a lot of things that's going to happen. I mean, there was going to be plunder taking place, tables, ladders, whatever they can get their hands on. And Ishiki Uemura seems like he had this one under his wraps, but somehow Josh Briggs kicked out when he jumped off the turnbuckle, and just like that. But it was Josh Briggs who made the killing blow when put Inamura through a table when he applied a moonsault, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, we jump in, of course, with Ricky Saints getting a bit of a measure revenge against Jasper Troy. As you remember, Jasper Troy got involved in that match that he was with Ethan Page not too long ago. But the real question is, can Ricky Saints survive a big individual like Jasper Troy? Now, Jasper Troy has been a man who's on a mission to conquer NXT, and that's exactly what he did. He has failed to do so to get the NXT title. He's failed to do so to take on Javon Evans. But will he do the same thing with Ricky Saints? Well, Ricky Saints survived it by applying a DDT on him, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, Hank and Tank, as you know, are in fact talking to the general manager Ava, trying to figure out who of the Dark State are they facing for their tag team belts, which is still unclear. We don't even know until the day. However, while they were doing that, they were interrupted by that little chihuahua tagging along with Ash by Elegance. Now, the problem that they're having is this. They want to complain knowing that Masha Slamovich cannot be the referee in their match against, of course, Fatal Influence. They say that she's unqualified. Well, apparently, she's going to do it. So, they continue to complain and bitch and moan about it. So, too bad, little chihuahua. It's not going to happen. Now, we did see a bit of an interview with, of course, Trick Williams talking about Javon Evans in hopes he gets another opportunity of the NXT title. Possibly his goal is to become double champion. So we'll see what happens from there. Now, Jordynne Grace comes up to the stage. As you know, she'll be facing Blake Monroe at NXT Heatwave this coming weekend. However, Blake Monroe decided to get in her face. But Jordynne Grace told her something that I think many people can agree upon. He said the only reason you did what you did was because you were jealous. And she's like, I was in Evolution facing for that belt. You wish it was you. But of course, Blake Monroe decided to turn the tables, and then of course security got involved, but they got a little ass whooping that they deserved. So they had that coming. But of course, Blake Monroe has been trying to avoid her, not to face her in NXT Heatwave. Well, it's going to happen no matter what. Now, Fatal Influence, as you know, they do not like the idea of the Elegance Brands getting in their business. And then, of course, Zaria and Sol Ruka decided to get in their faces about this whole situation. And then, of course, Laney Reid decided to get in their business. But we'll see what happens. Now, Javon Evans had a little interview with Sarah, talk about his match against Trick Williams, because he thinks Trick Williams, he's a goofy person, all this and that, But we'll see what happens at the main event. Now, the Elegance Brands versus the Fatal Influence. This is one of those matches that, of course, is going to be interesting. And, of course, Masha Slamovich being the guest referee. But, however, I knew that little dumb chihuahua was going to get involved. And, of course, Masha being the referee that she is, she told him, get out of here. And, of course, he had to cry like a little girl. That's exactly what he deserves. But, however, of course, from what I can tell, Ash by Elegance does not want Masha Slamovich involved. She dropped the ball after, of course, during the countout when what's her name, Jasmine Nix kicked out, and she's like, it was 3, it was 2. But what she did not realize, while she has disdain like for Masha, Jasmine Nix made it all the way and tagged Jacy Jane and gave her the rolling encore, knocking her out, and just like that, 1, 2, 3. It was over. So the problem, I think, Ash by Elegance was so worried about Masha, she should have been worried about what was happening. So she dropped the ball on that. So that's her fault. Now, Charlie Dempsey had a little nice talk with Kendall Gray. As you know, he is determined to try to teach her some techniques. He said, look, I know you're an amateur wrestler, but you need someone who knows how to show you some things that you haven't learned yet. But of course, the calling decided to get involved. It seems like they're determined to rack up the ranks or something. I don't know for sure, but we'll see what happens from there. Now, we did see a little peace treaty, which is Canada versus the U.S. We have, of course, Chelsea Green and our current North American champion, Ethan Page, get into face-to-face peace talks with Tyra May Steele and Tavion Heights. And, of course, as you all know, with talks like this, it leads to a brawl. And then, of course, Ava showed up and decided these two will have a mixed tag match that will take place, of course, at Heatwave. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Now, Ricky Saints bump into Miles Bourne. He tells me, what's going on with Josh Briggs, man? I think I might have missed out on something because I got distracted or something. But yes, so Miles Bourne said, I don't know, but I'll figure that out. And of course, Lexis King got in the face of Miles Bourne and pepper sprayed him, of course. He still considered that Miles Bourne is a fraud. He thinks that he's not deaf, but that's how things roll up. Now, Kalani Jordan and Lola Vice are having a nice conversation, knowing that these two will be involved in a match for, of course, the NXT Championship. Basically, they're trying to determine who will walk out. But, of course, Lash Legend decided to get involved in this. So, we'll see what happens. Now, Ava decided to talk to Darkseid to find out which of the two recipients are going to be facing Hank and Tank. And, of course, they're not willing to say so until they mention Joe Hendry and say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry. So basically he just wanted to have a little nice talk with them, not to antagonize them, but Darkseid we're not having and told him either you're with us or against us. So that kind of sort of thing, but we'll see what happens. Now our main event, we have the NXT #1 contendership, Javon Evans versus Trick Williams. Now, of course, Trick Williams is a 2-time NXT champion, but of course, watching this match is Obafemi, so he's watching this very closely. Now, this match was a match that was suggested by Javon Evans because, of course, if you guys remember, Javon Evans said that he was told by, of course, The Undertaker, saying, you got to go after the big dog. And, of course, he had thought about who was the big dog. And Trick Williams was trying to make himself that he's the big dog, and he's telling Trick, you're not the big dog, dog. He is. He's the big dog. And you talk about too much about yourself all the time. So basically, he was saying, Obafemi is the big dog of NXT, not you. That title doesn't mean nothing. But of course, he did tell Obafemi, look, Oba, I know you don't want to be around here, but you got to see this. Hear this. Me and Trick, for this #1 contendership, whoever wins faces you at Heatwave. And of course, Obafemi, being the ruler that he is, he agreed with him, knowing this is the perfect opportunity. So we'll see what, but however, of course, Trick Williams is determined to pick up the win. But this is what happened. Trick Williams got distracted because he was sending a direct message to Obafemi, but what he realized, Obafemi was not at his usual spot. The person that was at his spot was none other than Mike Santana, and I think many of you know what that is. Well, of course, that happened. Javon Evans applied, of course, the getting bouncy, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. So, Javon Evans is the #1 contender to face Obafemi. But many of you may question, what is Mike Santana is there? Simple, guys. He has one thing in mind, is to win the TNA World Championship, and that's exactly what he's going to do. I wouldn't be surprised if this match could take place, of course, in Bound for Glory. Now, we will see what happens on Thursday, so stay with me on that. But as of right now, we are officially done with our reviews. Let's move on to our last and final thing, news updates. So, this is going to be a very short news update, so let's begin with one update on the upcoming event. On the 23rd of August, which is going to be this weekend, it's going to be, of course, the GCW Homecoming Night 1 of the Atlantic City show. They announced an all-star deathmatch scramble. We have Duke of Hardcore, John Wayne Murdoch, Cyclopse, Little Sicko, Bear Bronson, Mr. Danger, and Bam Sullivan. So this is going to be one hell of a match, so I can't wait to see this. Now let's move on to some developments. Many of you may or may not have known this. Recently, Mystery Wrestling, which is a promotion run by AEW star Evil Uno, has done a very interesting event called a 24-hour match. And with 24 hours, I've been following it throughout their account on X. The idea of this is to raise funds for cancer research, and that's exactly what happens. So they raised about $331,000 in Canadian money for it, and I have to say it's a pretty good, impressive thing to watch. So it's pretty good. Now, Dave Meltzer, as you all know, what's been going on in AAA. Recently, we've been seeing the fan base have been booing on Hijo de Vikingo ever since he defeated, of course, Alberto Del Rio. But however, Dave Meltzer went on and talked about that situation, and this is what he had to say about it. Let me pull it up. Yeah, here it is. This is what he said. What happened with El Hijo de Vikingo essentially is that Alberto Del Rio is really the smart worker, and he worked matches with him, treated him like he was a job guy, and also people see this job as a world champion. They don't hate Vikingo. They hate that the world champion, there is a big difference, because he's great. He doesn't do anything to be hated or anything. It's not that he's going to do the John Cena thing at all. It's just people don't see him as a worthy champion. And as long as he's the world champion, he's going to get booed a lot. So it's something we have seen. I mean, look, let's think back years ago. Many people wanted to see Nick Meneth, at the time known as Ryan Ziegler, or Brian Ziegler, or whatever his name was back then. People wanted to see him as the world champion, but WWE thought of him, it's a bad idea, but people cheered on him. And that was the thing. Some people just don't want this champion. They don't want this guy because they don't think he's worthy enough. And you look at Mercedes Moné. Some people think that maybe she's not worthy enough to be champion. Even WWE thought the same thing too, and that's the reason she's in AEW. So that's some reasons, and I get it. Many people just say, we just don't see him as the world champion at all. I mean, yeah, I think that's what happened, but what are you going to do about it? There's nothing anybody can do. It's not Vikingo's fault. They just don't see him as a worthy champion. That's the problem. But we'll see what happens with Vikingo. I'm sure that many people will love to see him do something else, but we'll see. But until then, we'll end things here and we'll call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, as you know, we have WWE Evolved and, of course, AEW Dynamite. This will be their go-home show before we head, of course, to London for, of course, Forbidden Door, which I'm excited for. I'm sure many of you are excited. Now, I do know there is a Stardom event. This is where we will have, of course, the 3 participants in the respective blocks. So I'm not sure if I'll be able to see it. If I do, lucky for me, I'll be able to review that for all of you. But until then, we'll see how things roll. But the priority is, of course, WWE Evolve and, of course, AEW Dynamite. So we'll see how things will progress. But until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day. Bang.